beauty shine. You radiate with light. Our hearts dancing twine. You're one of a kind. Shine on and feel my heart. We're never lost, even when I'm gone. Like circles on from near and far, above the flower bed. As we watch the stars, and we'll never be lost. You are my home. You feel my pain. My soul is yours. Two souls the same. With you, I'm everything. You never asked me to change a thing. They set our world on fire, but our hearts will burn for miles. I see your beauty shine. You radiate with light. Our hearts dancing twine. You're one of a kind. Stars shining with us. Your fire is contagious. I feel the moon on our skin. Love glows out, love streams in. Your eyes shining through me. Light the way so that we can see. And feel the warmth of my love. Shine on and feel my we're never lost, even when I'm gone. Like circles on from near and far, above the flower bed. As we watch the stars, and we'll never be apart.
Hello everyone, welcome back to DMV Rivals. Today we're doing the semifinals of the bracket stage. My name is Hoptech. Joining here with me today is Potential 5. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Potential 5.
He's Potential 5. In any case, I'm just going to be introducing the teams really quick. I think starting off on blue side, we have Platinum Players Poggies, consisting of Chesto, Caridians, Kurian, Jason the Other, Night's Dawn. What do you think about this team, Potential?
They just look very solid all around. I think they, I've heard from some of their opponents perhaps complaining about good team comps, complaining about good team comps as cheese. So it seems like they have drafting down. They have pretty good synergy in game as well. So solid team.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a secret power ranking spreadsheet going around. I'm not sure if you know about that, but this is a very highly rated team across all of the opinions that we had from our fellow players. Very, very strong top side, if I do say so myself. Chesto, one of the best players in this tournament, and a very good mid jungle to back them up. Obviously, their bot lane have been very solid in their own right. But I think if we want to look to talk about the stars of this team, definitely looking at that top side.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
And on the other side, we're going to be looking at Alan's other team, consisting of Dorky Nerd 314, IYSMH in the jungle, Derive in the mid lane, sorry, Jaxelli in the ADC position, and then the first Dragon in support. So yeah, what do you think about this side, potential?
I think definitely they will be coming in as the underdogs in this match, based on what we've said to this point. But that's not to say that individual players on this team have not shown, pretty standout performances. I do think that the gap largely may come in team play. So we'll see if things are different now that everybody has had more time to gel. But that's kind of where I see this going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think while I mean they didn't have too hot of a start, considering their group stage running, I believe they only amassed 2 wins compared to player Poggy's 5, which was very impressive. They weren't going too hot, even though they were rated pretty highly. Regardless of that, they had a very strong showing in their first game against the bracket stage against our team, actually in 2 mid, where they 2-0'd us pretty handily. Very strong showing from their team. But yeah, I think regardless of them being the underdogs, I think it's definitely going to be quite a close match. These are still some very good players on the side of Alan's other teams, and I think could go either way, regardless of who the favorites are in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, especially based on how these guys have been playing, it does seem like it may be a top versus bot kind of a game. We of course will have to see how how the draft lends itself to that, but I could definitely see a Chesto versus Jaxley kind of carry off.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate way to put it. But I will say that Alan's other team have the players to watch on that team, especially the games I have casted, have been that mid jungle duo and Derive and IOISMH. They have been very prolific, very highly rated players going into this DMV tournament, and I think they're even if they haven't been performing as well as maybe expectations have had them to be. I think they're still players to watch, and I think they can just turn it up to 11 pretty much at any time. Not to say that Jaxeli hasn't had his moments. He's definitely had some very good performances with the first Dragon. They've been a very formidable duo down in the bot lane, have had some very good performances. But I will say that Derive and AOISMH are quite possibly the players to watch.
I'm invading because I just want the world to know, the stream to know, the reason we have this delay is Jason had an issue with his monitor, right? And then we got everyone in here to look, and then apparently the issue was he was plugging it not into his GPU. He was like a literal bozo and plugging into God knows what instead of his GPU, and that's why his monitor was off. All right, we're about to be ready.
Okay, sounds good. I was actually just about to get to that. We're starting the stream a little late because one of the players had a monitor issue. Top laner Chesto clearly not very happy with his mid laner. How do you think about what do you think about that actually? Do you think that's going to hurt their chemistry?
Error, evidently.
Yeah, but do you think that's going to hurt their chemistry? That doesn't seem like Chesto's too happy with his mid laner, considering the intellectual performance he just had on that monitor issue. What do you think about that?
Nah, a little banter shows you that the team is close always.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely a little banter going on there. Glad that Jason figured that out with his monitor and we can get this show on the road. Thank you, FaZe, for coming along with us. FaZe was initially not anticipated to be on this casting desk because we were led to believe that Jason would have monitor issues and he would be subbing in. But he is here now. FaZe, welcome.
Hello. I'm super excited for this match today. I think this is two of the best teams in the tournament, so should be very exciting here.
Yes, I would be very inclined to agree that these are, yes, two of the best teams in the tournament. And yeah, I'm very excited for this matchup. What are you feeling about these teams? We already talked about it being potential, but how do you feel about both of those sides? What do you think are the players to watch?
I mean, I think in this case, rather than looking at a particular role, I think a lot of the competition is going to be between the leadership of Chesto and Derive here. I think both of them are definitely like the vocal leaders for their team and making a lot of the calls and stuff, and both of them are definitely veteran players. So I think they'll be pretty excited to see who can like lead their team to the victory here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think definitely shot calling is a very, very valuable asset on a team. And if you're lacking that shot calling, that leadership, it can be very, very disastrous. So it's very good that they have some direction about the plays they should make, where everyone should be on the map at a time, and just making sure that everyone's in the right place at the right time for objectives, for team fights, stuff like that. So I think that's very important to look at these two teams and see their positioning, their play making, their dives, whatever it may be.
I'd like
Yeah,
to add to that from JHU experience. I know that both Nightsdawn and Jaxley as well are very vocal players themselves. And yeah, just again, want to bring it back around to what we've been saying right now, what we said at the beginning, that I do think that looking across the map, kind of team play is going to be quite possibly how this match is decided.
Yeah, for sure. And I think both the teams are ready, so we're just going to be waiting on their draft walls so that we can get started.
Looks like it started.
Yep.
You
Just
see
going
it.
to be.
Talon ban.
Give me 1 second. Got to fix that up. Make sure it's the right one, and we can transition. There we go. Yeah, and clearly we can see the Talon ban to start with, answered wide by the Iron ban. Obviously, not very contested pick on the Talon. It's just taken away from iOS Mitch. But yeah, obviously, Nico, Iron, things that are just very strong in this patch, going to be taken away.
And have shown themselves to be strong during this tournament as well.
I think a pick I might be looking to here is the LeBlanc, actually. I think both Derive and Jason would be happy to bring out the new LeBlanc build with the Static Shiv.
I think they're going to take it away on 3. I think they're taking it away on 3.
They might take it away, but if not, then I think that might just be a first pick here.
I think they're going to absolutely take it away on the 3 because they know that Jason is comfortable enough to be one that champion, very prolific LeBlanc player. And I just feel like we're expecting it to be banned on the 3, or else we're going to see it.
Yeah, I think for sure, and maybe Derive is cooking up some kind of answer to that, but I would tend to agree. Probably a LeBlanc ban here. Oh no, it's the Jays.
Ooh, they were
Yeah,
considering
there's the B1 LeBlanc.
Immediately.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be pick ban. That champ is just ridiculous. Solves all her problems with that Static Shift pickup. All her wave clear all her wave clear issues are just completely resolved, and she can just become a menace. Because that's one of the main things that hold back LeBlanc before the Static Shift changes, is that she didn't have really good wave clear. They're going to answer with Kai'Sa Philios.
Match, perhaps in the mid lane with Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I think Kai'Sa, I'm not sure how much practice Derive has been having on this Kai'Sa, but yeah, Static Shift Kai'Sa is going to be the answer, it looks like.
Yeah, and Kai'Sa mid definitely just very good after the recent patch when they buffed her to. The initial point of the buff was to make her evolves work more nicely with the itemization, but the buffs turned out to be a little bit too much, and with the Static Shiv option, she's been very strong in the mid lane this patch.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Maokai and the Jinx answer for the Aphelios. I really like the Maokai into this double ADC. It really helps them with lockdown into this double ADC comp. And set up for their LeBlanc and the Jinx to get some resets.
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting to see the Jinx immediately. The Jinx and Maokai together are a strong front to back kind of duo. I'm honestly not that sure myself how the LeBlanc fits into that with the static build. I mean, there's also pick potential, but against the two ADCs, I really do like this Maokai and LeBlanc especially.
Yeah, I mean,
and we see.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we see the Udyr picked up here as well. I guess that you wanted to say something else about LeBlanc though.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure how I feel about this Udyr pick because although he is a very good brawler and good skirmisher, it's going to be kind of hard to get follow up on with Kaisa Aphelios, I feel like. Um, but again, something IOISMH is very comfortable on, picking up this Udyr into this Maokai. I think it's a good matchup for Udyr as well, so that's why he picked it up. But obviously PPP is going to be playing that front-to-back team comp. LeBlanc is just going to be looking to W in from a safe distance, auto Q onto one of the carries, either Aphelios or Kaisa, look for that poke before a team fight can start, and then they can really start front-to-back.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what supports the teams choose to pick up here, as I'd imagine those will be the next couple of picks. A lot of the supports that were good in the last patch have fallen a little bit out of favor in favor of some of these more engage-heavy supports. Like, you might have seen something like the Lulu with the Aphelios before, although I think it will be the first dragon, so we probably will end up seeing something like a Lulu, but we'll see if Cridians has something more spicy to pair with the Jinx to match it.
We have seen the Lulu banned immediately here among the rest of the top lane picks being banned in the second phase.
Renata Glass.
It looks like Renata with the value.
What do you think about that potential?
I think Renata doesn't feel good against LeBlanc, who
Very hard to lock down.
you know, she's very pokey, right?
Yeah.
Renata wants like ball comps to play into, and we haven't really seen that much balling yet from blue side. It feels
Yeah.
a little early to pick Renata to me.
Yeah, I think Renata probably not the best pick, especially into something like LeBlanc. Jax might feel pretty good. Let's see what this B5 is, but definitely not LeBlanc, who's, I mean, a very strong champ. Even the Udyr doesn't maybe feel all that nice into LeBlanc. It's going to be very hard to lock her down
I
without
think a
adequate
range
CC.
support, a zoning or peel support here on blue side would, you know, just complete the front to back and be really good here.
Mm-hmm. And I like that
Perfect.
PPP. Yeah, there's a Zillion, which is that range zoning support that she wanted. Also enables the Jinx pretty hard. That revive is going to be pretty scary with this Jax and this Jinx as well. And Cridian's on one of his, I believe it's one of his signature champs, right?
For sure. He and I have had many a conversation on Zillion. Used to be one of my mains. I wish I played him more.
They're going to answer with Gragas top into this Jax. Honestly, I'm really not sure how I feel about AOT's comp. This Udyr, I feel like, is not going to be that crazy into this game. Renata, I feel like, is kind of useless, especially against LeBlanc. Even Gragas is just like, what do you really accomplish? There's no hard CC to really get onto the Jinx, get onto the LeBlanc, and I feel like it's going to be very hard for AOT to get on these carries.
Yeah, I think AOT has opted for a lot of these kind of like one-off counter picks. Like the Udyr is good into the Maokai if you end up fighting early on in the jungle, and the Gragas, you know, known for being a pretty good lane matchup into the Jax. But I feel like when you look at the grand scheme of things and the team comps, I definitely like PPP's comp a lot better here. I think also worth noting is that Gragas got heavily nerfed this patch. The cooldown on the passive going from 8 seconds to 12 seconds. Gragas feels significantly worse in lane, and I'm not even sure if it's going to be favored into the Jax here at this point. I think Chesto might have his way in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I will give Chesto an advantage on pretty much any matchup that isn't a complete counter pick. Something like Malphite Silas obviously is very hard to lose on the Silas side. But yeah, I mean, it definitely looks to be more of a skill matchup considering the Gragas nerfs. But regardless, yeah, again, I'm just really not sure how I feel about AOT's comp. They're going to have to play these team fights really, really well, because if PPP decides to start deathballing and just kind of running into AOT, it's going to be very hard for, not necessarily running into them, but it's going to be very hard for AOT to kind of answer the way PPP is going to play out these fights.
If there's an angle, there may be some potential for early skirmish, especially on the bot side, because Jinx Zillion is not strong in skirmishes early, and Udyr, of course, is very much so. And you know, maybe try to leverage that jungle counter pick a little bit, but certainly if we get to team fight phase of the game, it's going to look difficult unless there's a pretty sizable gold lead on the red side.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to have to just try to look for something cheese with this Udyr It's probably gonna grab that ghost and try to maybe look bot lane, especially early on.
Cool thought.
I will wait for you to be better.
I'll come back stronger.
Curious. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, okay. Wait, did you? Okay, yeah. So I'm curious to see how this mid lane matchup turns out with the LeBlanc into the Kai'Sa. I mean, both are definitely going to be opting for that static shift first and just using that to get a lot of wave clear. But I feel like, excuse me, I feel like Kai'Sa has a lot less potential to kind of rotate and make plays than LeBlanc in the early game. So I'm expecting to see Jason roaming with the Maokai a lot, and despite us talking about the strength of the Udyr with his empowered ult in the early skirmishes, I think with the LeBlanc rotating down, it might be very hard for them to get these favorable fights in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do
think so
wonder,
too.
as an AD champion with her Q in the mid lane, she may be able to stabilize. LeBlanc also, we were just talking about before getting her static shiv, her wave clear's not the best, having to commit the W. And Kai'Sa she doesn't have LeBlanc chain, right? So the playmaking is weak, but she at least does have passive to play off of Udyr stuns, so may have some way to play in skirmishes. May need to see how that plays out though.
Yeah, and I think the Zillion is another pick here from Pridians that I'm going to be looking to a lot this game, because this Jinx could become almost impossible to kill. Like a lot of the dive of the side of Alan's other team is pretty hard to pull off with something like the Gragas and the Udyr just running at you. With the movement speed and ult from the Zillion, I think it's going to be very hard for them to get on Curry in here. So if Pridians is able to use those abilities well, we could see Jinx popping off and carrying this one.
Yeah, it sounds like their only possibility at that point is Gragas flank barrel, some nicely placed wards and TPs, but yeah, outside of that, fully agree.
Yeah, and I think I'm curious to see how this Jax of Chesto does into the Gragas, because Chesto, one of the best Jax players in the tournament, and I think despite I don't know if it's still a counter matchup like I was saying with the Nurse before.
Mhm.
So but I think it could get pretty dangerous for the Gragas if Maokai is able to make it up there early, because Jackson and Maokai can be a pretty strong duo for the dives, and with Gragas having a lot less sustain, it's hard for them to him to just hide under the turret and constantly heal up like he could before.
Definitely, especially that may be what we want to look toward early on in the game. If blue team does manage to pull off a top dive, I think there was at least one Jax vs Gragas matchup in Pro recently that tipped surprisingly in the Jax's favor, like over this past week. Although, I guess to be fair, I'm not sure whether that's player gap or new patch.
Yeah, I think this bot lane too is probably gonna be pretty handshaky. Like I think the Jinx and Aphelios are gonna be pretty happy to just farm it up, and I don't think either of these supports are gonna be looking to make any crazy plays in the lane. So I'm gonna be looking a lot at the junglers and top laners, especially early in the game, because I think that the Jax versus the Gragas is a much more volatile matchup, and with LeBlanc and Kai'Sa both just wanting to get to that first item spike, I think we might see a lot more top lane presence than normal from these junglers. We should be getting into game here pretty soon. Looks like the timer has run out, so we'll see if anyone is cooking anything up pretty spicy in these runes.
Where's the potential for spice here? Maybe
Yeah, I think things look pretty standard.
I see
It
no
is
spice.
the most sort of not obvious thing I see here is Chesto opting for that grasp rather than something like the lethal tempo or the conqueror. I'm not sure what the main option is on Jax these days, but I know grasp is a little bit more focused on winning lane and getting favorable trades, which I think is a lot more useful into the Gragas now that he can't just freely heal up all the damage you do. But yeah, everything else looks relatively standard. I know Kaisa can opt for either Fleet Footwork or Hail of Blades. I think Hail of Blades is more common, but especially with the Static Shiv build, getting that Fleet Footwork can be good as well. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, yeah, everything seems pretty standard. Oh, just like I click forward in the timer, like just click yeah, or like maybe even towards the end if you can. Yeah, the spectator is really buggy right now. It's kind of annoying. Maybe press play. Is it? Okay, there we go. We're in.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Honestly, I'm a little interested to see, or surprised to see that Jinx did not handshake the call as well in a lane like this.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Yeah, I do really like the Zillion into Renata matchup. Like with the range advantage, you can just kind of slowly poke her out with bombs, and it's hard for her to really land ease on you if you stand pretty far away. So I do definitely think that the Jinx Zillion lane has a little bit more potential to go on the offensive early, but I think without the assistance of Nightstone, not much will really be able to happen down there.
Yeah, the difficulty with that lane is, they have the range advantage, but they have no all-in threat, which is kind of why I was looking at the Cull idea. Or maybe he doesn't want to get caught off guard by an Udyr gank or something. Although even then, I wouldn't be that scared of that Brazilian lane. No, I would think, especially in the earlier levels with the power of Kaisa Q, Drive will get the push in this lane, get lane control. But, not being a mid laner myself, do you guys know if this changes at some point? Does LeBlanc ever get enough threat to recapture the lane against Kaisa?
I mean, I think. Oh. Yeah, I think traditionally, Kaisa, like, where LeBlanc would eventually be able to get to the point where she just can one-shot Kaisa or get her down very low with one combo. So eventually, LeBlanc would have the prio in this lane. But I think in this particular matchup with the new builds, with the Shiv, I think it's going to be a lot more kind of just them handshaking the wave clear and trying to look for plays elsewhere rather than going heavily into that 1v1, because the Shiv does make you a little bit weaker than you'd normally be in those lane trades.
A summoner has disconnected. A summoner has disconnected.
Yeah, but I also think that the Kaisa might be a little bit more useful in some of the fights here. So while the lane might be a little bit better for LeBlanc in the 1v1, I do think I would prefer the Kaisa going later into the game. Sorry, did you want to add something, Potential 5?
Yeah, I wanted to add a couple things. One to this discussion is that, also a lot of LeBlanc matchups are not just 1v1, right? A lot of her strength in lane is her gank setup. And so, in addition to what we mentioned before the game about Kaisa playing with Udyr potentially, it does seem more likely that, barring both sides' potential unfamiliarity with Static Shiv, since it's still fairly new in the way that it changes the mid lane waves and so on, it does seem potentially more about what the junglers decide to do around there. Did I say it more than one time? You might be right. Yes. Looks like looks like instead of a 3-minute dive on top side, the wave was definitely stacked, I think, enough for Maokai to path toward there, but I think the HP is not quite in a safe enough state to make that happen, so just going for the cheater instead.
Yeah, we did see kind of as expected Nightstone pathing towards the top side early on, while the Udyr pathing down bot side. We did see Chesto at least try to set up a potential dive, but like you said, the HP a little too high. We'll have to see, with Chesto now back at full HP and Dorky Nerd might be under a little bit of pressure here. Actually, it looks like Chesto might be trying to freeze the wave up here.
Okay, looks like my mic was muted on stream, so that's kind of awkward, but we're back. Yeah, and hopefully they can hear phase 2. I need to turn you up a little bit, actually.
Alright. Oh, we do see Nightstone going behind Dorky Nerd. Chesto has jumped in. Dorky Nerd getting slowed by the sapling. ILI SMH does arrive as well. The knockback coming out from Nightstone, able to catch out Dorky Nerd. But with Derive being the first to rotate from mid lane, that'll be the first blood going over towards Dorky Nerd, and we have another pause.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seems like, yeah, I mean, I was mentioning earlier to you, potential. It looks like Chesto not too happy with his mid laner and his technological issues. Not too sure how that's gonna affect their relationship after this game, but yeah, what do you think?
I'll be honest, I would also not be very happy if I saw mid lane reinforcing an otherwise won situation when my mid laner is DC'd behind a wall.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, he's gray screen, so just not a good time all around.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried that Jason might not have been able to rotate there because he DC'd rather than due to the Kaisa having priority in the lane. So I'll be curious to see how this resolves. Nightstone in a bit of a risky position here, but imagine he'll be able to flash over the wall towards his mid laner, and without much stuff to follow up, I think he'll be okay. The mobility summoners of Dork Nerd and ILY SMH have already been blown, and Drive is very low on mana here. But yeah, a nice job from Derive to rotate up and help support his top laner and what looked like a pretty doomed play here.
Yeah, I think Derive is actually going to probably flash over this wall once Nightstone does as well. Knowing that Jason is DC'd probably far away, he has that ward on that pixel bridge as well. I think he's once Nightstone flash, I think we can expect Derive to flash as well. But other than that, yeah, it looks like bot lane's just chilling. Shit's happening top lane, but not their problem, obviously. As well.
Bot lane is chilling. This is a pretty chill lane.
Yeah, I mean, I said this before. I think we're really focusing on the top side for both of these teams. The mid jungle for the side of AOT, and then the whole top side for the side of PPP themselves. Definitely very prolific sides.
With a handicap, eventually.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna just keep hearing that.
Alright, I received word that Jason is currently working on a fix. He's around 1k ping, so they don't know if they'll be able to resolve it, but yeah, I think Chesto, I think you might be right about that. Chesto being pretty angry with this mid laner here.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the information. Yeah.
That's the scouting report.
Yeah, hopefully Jason can get a fix. Looks like he teleported back to Japan somehow. Not really sure what's going on over there. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Chesto is happy about this situation at all. But yeah.
The one saving grace is that the wave is in a pretty good spot, and he does have his TP still available. So the lane is not hopeless, but it definitely, now you don't want to see that first kill already going over to the Gragas.
I mean, I think it's fine because, I mean, the Gragas does have that Comet. He is building AP. He's going to be doing AP damage, obviously. Actually, what I didn't actually comment on before the game started is that there's a triple AP topside and a Renata. All their AD is coming from this Aphelios alone. So this Aphelios is going to be sole AD, and if he doesn't get ahead, PPP is just going to stack him more, and they're not going to be able to do anything really, are they?
Yeah, it seems like it. And yeah, no, I agree. I don't know how I think Kai'Sa might still do some physical damage. The Q is physical and does scale with AP, so not all is lost. But yeah, you definitely would like to see more AD champs on the side of Alan's other team here.
Yeah, and I think Dorganer did have that opportunity to pick that.
Does Udyr go... I mean, he has a Dark Seal, obviously, but does he only go Armax AP still? Or with the Triforce buffs, is that an option to go more Bruiser with AD?
I think they still go... Or, actually, I'm not quite sure.
I've pulled up the numbers here, and it looks like there's about a 50-50 split between people going for the Triforce AD build and the Jack Show sort of hybrid AP tank build. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is interesting. It seems like ILYSMH is going for that AP build here, but yeah, I actually agree with you. I would think of maybe going on the side of the Triforce here with how much AP is on this top side already.
Yeah, I think he does enjoy playing that AP style. I might even offer actually a Jock Show in the end. Jock Show maybe a Demonic Embrace to top it off for his core. But yeah, I mean, not quite sure what they're going to do. But as this goes later, I mean, we do have a pause timer limit of 10 minutes in the rulebook. So hopefully they can get that resolved by then. Not quite sure. FaZe might need to hop back in there and see what's up in about a minute or two.
Yep.
That would be quite unfortunate and anticlimactic.
Yeah, sorry to the viewers. Kind of boring seeing a pause screen. Blame Jason.
We already know that Chesto is
livid down there. You died to a 3v3 skirmish, your top mid laner's DC, your jungler's about to die too. I mean, what could be worse, honestly? At least his wave is pushing into him, I think. I can't really pan over there, but judging from the minimap,
it's hard to tell.
It
was on the bounce after the cheater, so hopefully for him, still coming back.
Yeah, a little bit of a silver lining there. Maybe his bot lane is telling him to chill out. We got this. You know, we're kind of winning lane when they're actually kind of losing lane. Actually, I'm not too sure. But yeah, And that's gonna top it off at the 20 minutes. So, FaZe, you want to
A
jump in
summoner
and
has
get an? Oh,
disconnected.
maybe we got something
Here. We will see.
IYSMH going crazy himself in the chat. Yeah, feel free to jump in and get a status report if you want.
Did you hear anything when you were just in there?
Yeah, they told me to leave immediately, so I don't want to
Oh,
cause any problems. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm DMing Chester right now.
Listen, we're in game. Stop DMing me, please. Please, like it's spamming the side of my thing.
We will stop DMing you.
Okay. I mean, maybe we should pause the stream for now while we resolve this.
We can do that. I think we probably should.
yeah, that sounds good.
Chesto came in here, didn't really give us an update, so we're going to be right back. We'll see you guys later. Okay, looks like we're about to head back in actually. So that was a little
Unpaused?
anticlimactic. Play will resume in 0 seconds. Hopefully that means it actually will resume. There we go. Turn the sound up.
There's the flash. There's the no follow flash.
Yeah, it looks like he had that that rune. I don't remember what it's called. The thing that makes you run faster as you flash or use any summoner spell. But some heavy trading on the bot lane.
XL doing a nice job here. Derive going a little low. Oh, does Derive missing the W, hurting the minion there. But Iowa versus SMH, it seems, will just push in the lane here, and Derive will be able to back off and be okay. Iowa SMH jumping towards Jason. The chain lands, but Jason not quite able to land the root. Nightstun is here as well. Iowa SMH looking quite threatening under the turret, but I'm not sure if he wanted that.
Yeah, being menaced, that's what he really wants to do. I'm not really sure what effect that had onto Jason besides being annoying. But maybe you just gotta get
Korean forced to blow the heal. The damage isn't quite there.
Maybe not really late, maybe just to be able to stay in lane a bit, but I'm a little surprised he's gotten this low.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that you like the Zillion into the Renata. Maybe not necessarily Aphelios, but we're gonna see another pause.
Uh-oh.
Not really good. Not really good. Nothing we can do about it on our caster side. But again,
Stream.
hopefully it's resolved sometime soon,
Okay, that
and
was
it is resolved. So
Quick pause.
that's good, and we're back into the game. So
Yeah,
we've-
Only thing I could see happening down here is maybe blue side crashed a wave or was like receiving a slow push and contested too hard on the slow push, because there's not really much gameplay to be had in this lane. Otherwise,
Yeah, we've only had about 5 minutes of gameplay as opposed to about 30 minutes of pause time, so hopefully you see some action in this game. I mean, some more exciting stuff at least. But yeah, I think I was saying that Zillion was kind of favored towards this matchup. Why do you think that? Oh,
I mean, I just think that Zillion sort of has the right advantage in some of the trades early on. You know, able to poke out Renata with the bombs, and Renata not really able to respond. But I think Zillion can struggle a bit with the mana before you pick up that tier on that first recall. Oh, Jason now flashing onto Derive, lands the double chain, but the damage isn't quite there. Derive flashes in and able to finish off the solo kill onto Jason the other. Meanwhile, Caridian's going very low in the bot lane. The flash comes out from the first dragon, able to finish off the kill with the auto attack. And that'll be 2 kills going over very quickly to the side of Alan's other team.
yeah, just a really rough start for PPP, honestly, to take this game potential. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an overreach by Caridians there. This, as I was saying, this is a low gameplay, low interaction lane, and I think the assumption we were having that, Jinx and Zillion would be happy, despite that both of those are. Oh, there may be a fight top lane there.
And Knight's not a bit far forward here. Dirkinger lands the knock onto Nightsdawn and easily able to finish him off with the barrel.
Yeah, whatever play Nightsun has gone for so far, just not looking good. Looking like iOS is kind of reading him like a book, knowing that he's gonna go that top side.
Yeah, Chesto pops the ult, now jumping onto Dorkiner with the stun. And Dorkiner able to dissuade the initial engage. Chesto now getting very low, and he'll just go down. A solo kill for Dirkinerd in this top lane.
Solo kill for Dirkinerd. Looks like, oh, more.
And now Jaxeli ghosting, trading heavily onto Kurian, but he's going very low. The fight or die almost wearing off here. The first dragon able to dissuade the rest of the engage, and Jaxeli will go very low here. So finally a favorable trade down bot for the side of Paladin players Poggies.
Dorkinerd on this Krag is looking very good. A solo kill, he stopped every engage or every gank potential from Nightsdawn with the help of iOS MH, and he's using this lead very well. Chesto looking for a little bit of an overreach on that play, trying to maybe kill Dorkinerd knowing he didn't have ulti, but Dorkinerd able to play that well.
And I do want to go back to the sort of LeBlanc versus Kai'Sa 1v1. We saw Jason flashing on to Derive, not able to finish off the kill. I think that might partially come from discomfort here. If that was something like a Lost Chapter, that could have easily been the solo kill coming out, but with the Crochet Sard and a couple of longswords, the damage just wasn't there.
Yeah, and from everything happening in mid, top, and bot, this is actually heading toward the potential win condition. We were all concerned about the team fighting coming out from these two teams based on the team comps, but we are heading toward a sizable gold advantage by that point for the red team.
Yeah, 3k gold at not even 9 minutes. It's not looking good for the side of PPP. We stated this before that they're going to really look for that kind of team fight death ball kind of comp with this Maokai, with this Jinx, LeBlanc as well. And it looks like AOT has other ideas, kind of just trying to get that early lead to snowball so they can actually get to that point where they can start winning these team fights.
Yeah, there's now Chesto jumping onto Dorkinerd, but Dorkinerd does have the explosive cask for disengage, and now Chesto very low, the flash coming in, and the combo is able to kill. A nice play again by Dorkinerd, picks up a second solo kill in this lane, and now finds himself 3-0.
Yeah, Dorkinerd really showing up on this Gragas. We were kind of questioning about whether it was a good counter pick, but he's doing really well.
That early play as well, turning around, I think there's potential for both, that setting Gragas ahead, obviously, and also potentially setting Jax behind mentally.
Yeah, truly mentally. So, who was DDoSing Jason to boom Chesto's mental, guys? We'll say not it, but Derive also has the static shiv advantage. It's going to be very big for him in the static shiv war. Getting it first, getting these wave clears so that he doesn't really have to acknowledge the poke that Jason has to offer with this LeBlanc. So pretty much every lane is winning. Even the jungler is winning. A kill on every lane Dorking are taking a little bit of a trade. Jason, or Chesto's still trading very aggressively, even though he's losing 0-3 in this matchup.
Every play on top side can be winning for red team. Oh, maybe there's a
Another solo kill.
Gragas ulti coming off cooldown.
I'm not really sure why Chesto is still going for these aggressive plays, knowing that he's this far behind in the matchup. Maybe he thinks that if he can outplay, even though he's this behind. Not quite sure. Maybe he's tilted. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, I think when he finishes off the Mythic here, he will have a little bit of a better shot as Dorking goes for the Explosive Cask, able to land the damage, but not quite knock him towards the team.
There's a gank.
Now Nightstone coming in, lands the root onto 3 members, but Kurian is just too far forward, and he'll go immediately into the Zillion ult. Jason has arrived, able to deal quite a lot of damage, finish off the kill onto the first dragon, but he'll go down himself, and overall it just seems to be a 1-for-1 down here.
1-for-1 ADC.
Oh, but now the TP coming in from Chesto, it is immediately matched by Dorky Nerd, but the Gragas might be a bit far forward. No, he'll be okay. And the flash ult coming in from Jaxeli, but he's too far forward. Down to Nightstone, a beautiful turn. Kritian's going down as well to the Kaisa ult coming in from the side, but now it's Jason on the offensive. Dorky Nerd going very low. Chesto flashes in, lands the shutdown onto Dorky Nerd, and that'll be huge for him in the top lane here.
That's exactly what Chesto needed to get going into this game. I mean, yeah, he was just 0-3, not having a good time in that top lane, but Dorky Nerd a little bit over eager. He could have just eat away from the LeBlanc, decided to E and look for the stun, and Chesto capitalizing on that with his flash E.
Yeah, but there were some return kills. Derive now getting very strong on this Kaisa, up 3-0, and with them, forcing out a lot of the cooldowns of Platinum players' Poggies here, it looks like that'll be just the Dragon going immediately over to Alan's other team. But a collapse could be coming in here. A couple of bombs land, and the Maokai ult is there.
Looks
Derive going
good,
pretty
Derive.
low. I think he'll be okay. The ult missed from Jinx. Nightstone and Jason will have the damage to finish off ILYSMH. The first Dragon also potentially a bit far forward here, but the team is able to peel her away. Chesto still 2 levels down. He hasn't quite finished his Mythic, so he might just go down here. Dorky Nerd able to land a lot of damage, and the Explosive Cask completely whiffed, but the barrel is there, and Chesto forced to run away, and dodges the barrel, and the WE is just enough to finish him off. So well played again, another solo kill coming out for Dorky Nerd.
Turret plating will fall soon.
Yeah, I mean, overall, regardless of what's happening top lane, because I don't know really what's happening, Chesto just seems to want to fight at every second he can get. Doesn't really care, he's playing Jax. But Derive, I feel like that was a little bit greedy of him to try and call for that dragon, especially when he was sitting on so much gold. He just had a static shiv and boots. LeBlanc had the same amount of items. He could have backed and pretty much got what he has right now, which is that blasting one in chapter. He didn't decide to back and use his DP aggressively to safely pick up that dragon, and his jungler kind of traded his life for it.
Yeah, but that seems pretty worth to me. I mean, get that dragon stacking. They're already ahead in gold, up 2-0 in dragons, and it's definitely on the onus of Platinum players' Poggies to look for something to get back into the game here.
Yeah, red side is still ahead, and they... No kill. They did make the play bot after making a win play top, getting the Herald for free. So it's not as if they chose just directly to play to their losing side, or away from their...
Oh, as Chesto knocked into the turret by the Explosive Cask is now going very low. The Q lands again, and Dorky Nerd might get another solo kill. Chesto continuing to kite away, but it's still very low here. Nightstone is coming in, and if Dorky Nerd with the flash able to finish off with the barrel, it looks like Nightstone now coming in, lands the ult.
I don't think he can do anything here.
Does he have the damage?
I think he does
He
just
can,
have the
never
damage,
mind.
and yeah, it is there, but meanwhile, the Herald is popped in the bot lane, and this might be a tier 2 turret going down.
Yeah, I mean, again, Chesto continues his onslaught onto the top lane, saying, I don't care, I'm gonna fight. Don't care if you're Everfrost and have a needlessly large rod. Don't care if I'm 1-5 or 0-5 or 1-4 at that point. I'm gonna fight you, and it requires attention from his jungler. I mean, at least they got the kill onto him, but again, T2 turret in the bot lane down, T1 in the top lane down. It's just a really like a 5.5k gold lead on the side of AOT right now.
This is significant, and the next dragon is in a little over a minute and a half. I do think that PPP will try to contest there because their options seem better in a...
Chester continuing to jump in. The explosive cast comes out, and he does have the body slam, and the damage isn't quite there this time, but Chesto continuing to trade, and Dorkiner getting the better of them all, it seems.
Yeah, Chesto does have that Thunder though, so like, I mean, it looks like it's not too bad for him, but I think it's still losing. But again, Dorkiner doesn't have his ulti, so he has to be a little bit careful. Looks like Chesto will just opt to back instead, and Dragon in 1 minute. Let's see how these teams posture towards that. See that red side vision though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Platinum player Poggies are gonna have to pull off a miracle here. I mean, even if Alan's other team does secure this dragon, it will only be soul points, so they'll still have some opportunity, but that can be very dangerous. And you know, with not much vision here, Crittian's starting to push some into the river, but they're gonna have to pull off a miracle definitely to get this dragon here.
So they have gotten control in the river right now. There is another mid wave probably to play on.
Chess is walking down as well.
Kaisa has TP.
Yeah, we could see a fight coming in here. Derive landing a lot of poke onto Curian, who's not half HP, and another W lands, and Derive will just jump in, and Crittian's not... It looks like he tried to flash ult, but Curian flashing away from his own teammate. Chesto now jumping onto Derive, but the hostile takeover is there, and he'll be forced to back away. Jason with just enough damage to finish the shutdown off on Derive. Nightstone now jumping in, just forcing the flash out of, I believe that was the first dragon. Jason continuing to poke out, and Jason just doing work on this LeBlanc pick.
They're looking to try to flavor this dragon even still. Curian coming back from base, Crittians as well. Looks like they're going to
the ult coming out from Nightstone. Not fully blocked by Dorkiner, but they won't be able to arrest control of the dragon, and LYSMH looks in a pretty good position here. Chesto jumping in, a nice explosive cast comes out, and the ult from Jaxeli able to finish off Nightstone, and that should just be the sole point coming out for the side of Alan's other team. Jason not able to make the steal happen.
Pretty close, yeah, but honestly they're just so far behind. It is so hard to deal with Dorkiner and his zone control. Even though Derive was down, they burned considerable amount of resources to try and get that down. Curian got taken down. I think Crittian's also ulted. Chesto used his flash and ult, and they're going to start to look for this Herald.
Yeah, the setup to that fight was, I think, all Derive landing a couple of, what is it called?
W's.
Seeker?
I just say W's. You can say
I think you're right, yeah.
Onto Curian, and going for the all-in as we saw.
Yeah, but we
that
did
really made it
see...
difficult.
We did see him, though, have to trade his life as Jason was able to get the shutdown there. And things looked pretty okay for the side of Platinum players Poggies until a nice ult combo coming out from Dorkiner and Jaxeli, able to quickly finish off Nightstone and sort of scatter the rest of the team and prevent any steal attempt.
Now we'll have to see what blue side is able to play for now, because even before the dragon fight they were losing in all three lanes essentially. Not so much mid, I suppose.
Jason finding a flank here onto Dorkiner, but he might be the one in trouble. But we do have Nightstone coming in, able to land the ult. The ult coming in as well from Curian. Jason going quite low, and Dorkiner able to finish him off, but he will surely go down here. Looks like they'll be able to give it over to the Jinx, which that shutdown gold going over tier 80 carry pretty good at this point in the game.
They got some pretty big XP from that as well. I will say, honestly, it's worth for PPP to take that for sure. I mean, got the shutdown, got that kill onto the Jinx, just maybe try and stop her, or try to start her to get going pretty much in this team fight.
Yeah, we do see both ADCs opting for the first item, Stormrazor, which in my understanding is that has sort of fallen out of favor here. I think most people opting for the Kraken Slayer first, and I think this might not be the right choice for either of them. Derive jumping in with the ult, but the follow-up isn't there, and that'll be, you know, one cooldown blown. Jason trying to get a little bit of damage onto Jaxeli, but he'll be okay here.
So red team has the option of playing for Baron, but it seems more likely that they're just going to hold the space and then get toward the dragon for their soul point. Hexel quite strong.
Yeah, but I feel like even at the same time, they can still threaten the Baron. They do have that double ADC comp. Udyr does massive damage to Baron as well. I feel like they can threaten it any time. They don't have to go for this soul. I believe it's Hextech Soul. Yeah, they don't have to go for this Hextech Soul to complete. They can just opt to get the Baron instead. Obviously, Soul would be very helpful, but you know, it's very scary for PPP to try to play for one side or the other because they can just threaten to take both.
Yeah, it seems like we have. It seems like we have a lot of options here for the side of Alan's other team. I'm curious to hear what you think potential. You know, looking from the perspective of Platinum players' Puggies, is actually, it looks like there might be an engage coming out here from Nightstone, able to land the knockback, forcing the flash out of the first dragon. A beautiful double bomb lands onto 3. The ult from Jinx able to finish off the kill. A nice explosive cast starts to disengage, but it looks like ILY SMH will go down. Yeah, the damage is just there. Crittian's finishing off the kill.
Really well played flash there as well at the end by Nightstone to get on the other side of the barrel to hold Udyr in place, and with the jungler down, that may be a Baron opportunity here for Blue.
Yeah, really well played to find that engage from a deficit. Looks like they're gonna try to look for a fight though.
Dorking are very strong up front here, and Crittian's already blowing the ult on himself, and they will finish off the Baron, but the fight here coming out, Chesto flashing onto Jaxeli, able to finish off the kill. A second coming in for Jason. Chesto does go down, but that'll be a 3-for-1, and the Baron. Absolutely disastrous for Alan's other team, and Platinum players Poggy's right back into the game.
This is exactly.
And they can even go for the dragon right after because of that contest on the backside of the Baron.
Yeah, and this was all off of a beautiful triple bomb, double bomb onto 3, triple double bomb, if you will, from Crittians. Just completely setting up that play for his team and almost single-handedly winning the team fight there, able to convert it into a Baron and several kills, and the gold now almost even here as with Jason finishing off the tower. I think that will be about the same amount for each team.
This is exactly what PPP needed. They needed that team fight to just get them rolling, that Jinx to get a few kills, got that shutdown onto the Gragas, to just, you know, kind of start their comp to start steamrolling over AOT, because you saw how defenseless they were against like Jax jumping in, Malphite jumping in. Kai'Sa has pretty much no peel apart from this Gragas. Renata really doesn't solve too many of the issues that LeBlanc creates. And it's going to be super hard for them to try and answer this Baron push that they're going to start. I believe it's going to be 4-man mid. Yeah, but yeah, that's exactly what they needed.
Yeah, and Chesto, another ult missed by Dorkinerd. Chesto's starting to get the better end of these trades finally in the top lane. I mean, you would expect Jax to eventually win in that isolated 1v1. So that'll, for him, it looks like he's rotating down, and they're opting to focus their split push more onto Jason here.
Yeah, it's going to be super hard. Like I said, first, Kai'Sa to deal with Jason. I think LeBlanc is just, I mean, this is why LeBlanc is prioritized more in pro play, because she can just do this in the late game, kind of poke without any remorse, and I feel like it's a lot harder to deal with LeBlanc.
It's a
Yeah.
fun combo that Riot has generated.
Oh,
Shiv
yeah.
Harvester.
Yeah, absolutely.
Platinum players Poggy's definitely not home free. The gold's still pretty even, and Soul Point is still available for Alan's other team. But definitely, you know, after being down almost 7,000 gold, to come back like this should be a huge confidence boost. And, you know, especially after the shaky start to the game they had, I think, you know, they're definitely feeling themselves at this point. And I think we'll see a lot better team play coming out for the rest of the game and moving into the rest of the series. So definitely exactly what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, Chesto, I think he was like 1-4 at some point, 1-5. Just not having a really good game, but he is still a complete menace. He has 2 items, pretty much the same as
And now jumping on the ILYSMH here.
as Dorkiner. Got solo killed about 3 times, does not care, running forward, pretty much W King. Critian's gonna
But Cridian's Jaxeli able to get quite a bit of damage out. The movement speed buff from Cridian's enough to escape.
Yeah, but
It's like
again,
he is
Chesto.
maxing E second.
E2. Is that normal?
Yeah, I think so on support. Mid lane Zillion needs W.
They're gonna dive Dorkiner.
Yeah, Dorkiner now going very low under the turret, and Korean able to get another kill, and this Jinx is starting to get very, very powerful here.
And this has kind of been the story of this comeback in the last few minutes, right? Even, I mean, the play around the Baron and Dragon was mechanically well played by Blue side, but it was also just a good find on their own tempo with Kaisa and base. And similarly, they are catching out their opponents, essentially grouping up first.
Yeah, I feel like Dorkiner is just not really macroing too well with his team or meshing too well. He had all these kills and all this gold, all these items, but he didn't really look for any plays besides, you know, killing Chesto over and over again in the top lane. It seems like Chesto has just had the better of him in these team fights despite the like almost insurmountable gold lead that he amassed, getting that tower, getting those kills, and he's getting caught in these side lanes, and it's not working out for them.
Yeah, and I think ILYSMH here, a player we expected to be one of the best in the series, has been really struggling to find his impact here in this game. He's been mostly vacant from a lot of the early plays and sort of just standing around farming. So we'll see if he's able to make anything happen. He is approaching his 3rd item, and Udyr definitely scaling pretty well, able to separate these team fights with his empowered R, but yeah, so far not having the impact we were kind of expecting from such a high caliber player.
Scales well, but not as well as Aphelios. Not a big fan of him taking that cannon.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think I said this at the beginning of the game, but I'm not sure how the Udyr will fare in this comp. I don't think it's that strong, considering the Deathwall comp that...
Is the flash coming in from Jason lands the stun onto Drive, but not quite able to finish it off with the flash coming out, but the ult from Nightstone forcing everyone to run away, and ILSMH will just go down. This Udyr not finding any impact here in the fight, and that should just be the Dragon again going to the side of Platinum players. Poggy's is Jaxeli going very low. He'll be able to escape with the help of Renata.
That's exactly the problem with Renata into LeBlanc. You can W, but there's no way that you can kill her if she doesn't want you to.
Yeah, it's so hard to lock her down. This is why LeBlanc is such a contested pick right now. I feel like she's just pick and ban. And I think, you know, AOT made a big mistake not having that blue side advantage and not banning LeBlanc.
Chesto flashing on to Derive, able to easily finish off the kill.
That's gonna
That'll
be
probably just be the Baron, yeah.
Showing that they
Wow.
have taken a splash in the previous play.
Drive taking a greedy back right into Chesto's face. Chesto just walked into the bush, flashed on her and killed her.
Chesto
like
now
goalkeeper as well.
towards
Yeah, looks like this Baron is just going over. I mean, yeah, this is the strength of their comp. Chesto is completely online. This LeBlanc is doing massive deeps. Jinx in her own right is going to pick up that Bloodthirster, her 3rd item, and I don't see how AOT is even equipped to deal with PPP right now.
Yeah, I think that as the game goes on, you know, we have Jax, Chesto already picking up his 3rd item here, and I don't know who's going to be stopping him in the side lane, even if we can see AOT getting some of these favorable fights. I think the Jax might just run away with this game at this point, despite his lackluster start, able to bring it back. And we do see the Shurelias coming out. A nice handshake from the first dragon, able to deny the initial engage, but
Flash off Jax
just
Sully
so
and
the Summoner,
Guildforce.
yeah. Chesto now jumping back in, uses the Zanyas, and now Dorky Nerd a bit far forward. The double bomb comes out, able to land the stun onto Dorky Nerd. The first dragon doing her best to disengage, but the damage just isn't there to follow up. I think, Jason now, not quite enough damage, and Crittian's going very low, but that'll just be the base going down. Jason able to escape easily here as well.
Again, Udyr is farming all these waves, but I just am not sure how strong he's going to be in these team fights. It seems like he's been a pretty much non-factor against LeBlanc and Curry, and then like Chester kind of jumping on him and him getting kited. Yeah, not looking good.
Almost Brazilian with the demonic.
Yeah.
Almost.
Jason might be in trouble actually.
As the stun lands from Jaxelli, but he'll just be able to ult away here and he'll be okay.
Yeah, level 18, pretty much full build LeBlanc with the Rabadon's Void Staff. He's gonna one-shot everybody on that team. Well, all the important members.
Yeah, we do see that Night Harvester coming out, which very very good on the LeBlanc with the Shiv. And I'll be dashing forward. Curry and pops Gale Force. The damage not quite there, and the ult completely whiffed from the first dragon. So that'll be another tool to eventually stop this base invade going down for the side of Alan's other team. And this could just be all three inhibs going to Platinum players' Poggies.
Oh, and he's out.
Not even close there. ILY SMH continuing to chase. Looks like they are trying to get their backs off here, but with all three inhibs down, it's hard to imagine how AOT can find their way back into this one.
Yeah, and they have Baron Recall. They're going to look for this dragon, get their third Hextech dragon. And yeah, I think with that Hextech dragon, they're probably just going to look to kind of march it down with kind of maybe a 1-3-1, because LeBlanc can definitely 1-3-1 now, given that she has a Shiv, which he couldn't do in the past. Jax can definitely beat Gragas in the side lane as well. And Jinx, Maokai, and Zillion can kind of just clump up S3 in the mid lane. I think that's what they're going to opt to do, maybe right after the dragon, to try and close out this game. But we'll just have to see.
I'm just gonna say, it seems like as soon as we got to a team fight phase, just happened on 4th dragon rather than 3rd. PPP has just taking full control of the game.
Yeah, and it was all off the back of that one double bomb on the 3 from Crittians. And they have not gone back ever since.
Here's a fight, they're pushing in 2 lanes.
Yep.
Yeah, Dorking are a bit far forward here. I think he'll just go down. A nice find from Nightstone to land the W, and the first dragon now going very low as well will be finished off. ILY SMH will likely be the next to fall. The damage not quite there though, but the base is taking it. Jaxelli going down to the Gale Force of Jinx, and I think that'll just be game 1 going to the side of Platinum players' Poggies.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think we said at the beginning of this game, this comp on the side of AOT, I mean, it looked fine. It looked like IOYSMH was making the reads perfectly, especially top side. He knew that Nightstone was going to try to get his Jax ahead, given that bot lane was more or less a scaling lane, kind of just, they're going to farm up. Felix has that call, whatever, sure. And IOYSMH read that perfectly, got his Gragas ahead. Gragas was doing a lot of solo kills on his own. But I mean, again, what they needed to do with that big gold lead is just not throw it. They needed to be very, very cautious, and I think that they didn't exercise that caution well enough. They got caught out in that before that dragon, and that kind of just completely blew out their lead. PPP got that Baron, got that dragon, started pushing out towers. Jason got to like level 18 before anyone in the game, I believe, instead of just completely being a menace. AOT had pretty much no tools to deal with him at all, like we said at the beginning of the game. And yeah, that's just all PPP needed to get going.
Yeah, and while I do think to some extent it was a throw, I think even though they had that early gold lead, the comp of Allen's other team was just a bit of a mess. I mean, we saw Renata have almost no impact in these fights, and I'm not sure what the idea was behind that pick. It just did not work out very well into the side of Platinum players' Poggies, and the Gragas, despite getting so far ahead in lane, just could not find any angles in these team fights, and it was just a bit of a struggle all around.
Yeah, definitely. I think quite well played by Platinum players, Poggies, to find their foothold back in the game. I think that was also an example of, we were talking about coordination, that I just really want to call back to saying it was mechanically very well played, and also just a really good team call to find a play on their time.
Yeah. Okay, one thing I'm gonna say, no flame guys, but Dorky Nerd missed quite a few ultis in that game. He did have one that was really good in the dragon fight, but in that 1v1 scenario with the Jax, he missed, I think I counted 4 ultis that he missed. So I'm not sure if he feels too comfortable on that champion, or maybe Chesto's movement is just completely insane. But yeah, again, I think we can highlight that Gragas because he was super ahead, especially in that early game. I feel like he needed to start roaming a little bit more. Once he got that tower, he couldn't just stay top lane or stay side lane. He needed to start making plays around the map even before objectives were spawning. And I think he just could not capitalize on that.
Yeah, and this may be leaning pretty hard into our expectation pregame, but it did kind of feel a little bit watching the 1v1. Like, after a point, it was just, I don't know, I didn't expect to get this far.
Yeah, and I do think we will see a bit of a different dynamic going into the second game. Now, Derive having the opportunity to first pick that LeBlanc, but I think after this game, they will probably just be banning that away, and it did not look like Kaisa was the answer that they needed. LeBlanc just proving to be a much more useful static shift champion in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that champ is absolutely pick or ban, and if it looks like okay, yeah, it looks like AOT is going to be choosing that red side, so I mean, I think they're going to opt to ban it unless Derive really thinks that he can do better on that Kaisa or maybe even another pick to answer that LeBlanc, but I think that champ is just too strong right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's looking like a perma of the series, as maybe it should have been game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like same thing with that Ivern, with that maybe not so much Nico. I feel like she's a little bit more manageable to deal with, but Jason, even though he was a little bit behind, especially in the early game when he got solo killed by Derive, once he got like Static Shiv and that Harvester, he just looked unstoppable.
And do you guys know? Do you have any intel on the Jace pick? It looks like a Chesto pick, but I'm not as familiar with him. It looks like that's what AOT prioritized for their last ban in place of LeBlanc. But do you think if they come up to that scenario again in a potential game 3, they would have to replace that? It does look like it's been banned against him almost every single game.
Yeah, he's very, very good at that champion. Not really much else to say. That's why they're banning it away from him. He's really punishing, especially against. I mean, if you've ever played against a good Jace player, I mean, there's not too many. I guess you're a support, and Phase Involution is mid laner, so maybe he played against Jace. But if you played against a really good Jace, it is pretty much like suffocating. Like you cannot do anything. He just EQs you every time. He wins every trade. It's just very, very annoying in lane. And then out of lane, he just EQs your backline for like 1,000,000 damage. Yeah, just Jace things. But yeah, again, Chesto really knows how to pilot that champion, so that's why they're taking away from him.
So that is true, but I think Chesto might even agree that this is not one of the best bans against him here, because while the Jace can be very strong in his hands, especially if he's going to be forced to first pick that in the top lane because he's on blue side, there are definitely answers that can be very good into it. We saw Camper on Duty bring out the Malphite into the Jace, and he was able to pick up a solo kill in that lane. Other picks like the Poppy, the Ornn, even something like a Maokai top or Yorick. If you're willing to bring that out, Dr. Mundo. There are a lot of pretty good matchups into the Jace, so I'm not sure if that's the best red side ban, but I guess with his comfort on the champion, it does seem a pretty reasonable choice.
Yeah, I think it's just a good blind on his side. Not really much else to say, but this guy can play a lot of different champions, and it seems like Dorkiner just really doesn't want to play against that Jace particularly.
So I think AOT, this may be looking too far ahead, but it looks like, I think AOT banned, what was it, Ivern, Wukong, and Jace first phase?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
So given that, it seems like they could easily replace the Wukong ban with LeBlanc if they need to.
Yeah, I think so too. I think IYSMH can also play the Wukong, so I don't think there'll be one Wukong. I think there's probably some more priority they'd like to give some other champs. So if they're really scared of the Wukong, maybe they can just take it away on 1 or 2 on the red side. But yeah, I definitely think that one of those bans can be taken away. Probably not the Ivern, obviously. The Jace can be argued, but maybe the Wukong is the way to go, as you said.
I don't know Nightstone as much of a Wukong player either.
Oh, he definitely is. Nightstone will definitely bring out Wukong here, and so will I think Wukong and Ivern, definitely champions both junglers here are willing to pick up, and whoever's on blue side will get his first choice of those champions. So I do think those were pretty smart bans here. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the draft dynamics change here, though, with the teams switching sides. I think blue side has proven to be very good in this tournament, being able to pick up some of those more contested picks like Ivern and LeBlanc early. And I'm not sure that Platinum Players Poggies is going to be able to ban out everything that Alan's other team is going on a first pick here. If they do opt to ban the LeBlanc and the Ivern, which I think are two sort of proving to be two sort of must ban champions, then they might not have a response for something like the first pick Kaisa coming out from Derive if he wants to opt for that. And there are other highly contested champions like the Wukong, which was already banned, and we've seen Ahri be very effective in the mid lane. We've seen sort of the meta evolve around a lot of these champions, and there might not be the space that Platinum Players Poggies needs to ban all these picks. I'm not sure. Wait, has Alan's other team selected to go red side again?
Yes, they have.
Oh,
wow.
That feels weird to me, but we'll see what
the
they
red
have
side
up
pick ban talk was not too.
Yeah, I mean that's what they.
Yeah.
I think potential, or one of you said that they're kind of one-offing the counter matchups, but again, they have to realize that just counterpicking the matchups is not enough. With that Kaisa, with that Gragas, they have to make sure that they can actually work as a team together. If you know what I mean. I think there was a top laner. I'm not exactly sure who said it, but he said that counterpick is important, but making sure that it's good for the team, even though it's a losing matchup, is even more important. And it looks like they're going to take away that Jason, pick the LeBlanc instead, or ban the LeBlanc instead.
In like LPL, LCK, all these pro leagues, we often see players opting for unfavorable top lane matchups, doing things like picking Ornn into some like tank killing champions, like maybe a Jax or an Aatrox or something. Despite that not being the best lane, Ornn might be the best champion for their comp at that point. So we'll see if Dorky Nerd is willing to make that sacrifice, and if even after making a sacrifice like that is able to keep up with Chesto, because he picked for the lane and just was not able to convert that early lead on Gragas into anything meaningful later on into the game. So I think he'll be looking for something else here, as we did see the LeBlanc banned out, so they are changing the draft. And like I said before, Ari, another highly contested champion, coming out immediately for Jason here.
I really like this Azir pick into Ari. I think Azir is really, really strong right now. I think Derive is a very good Azir. There's that chase, which is very scary, and a Maokai as well. Trying to get that early gank setup, try to snowball either the Ari or the Jace. But yeah, it looks like, again, AOT, I'm going to hope to see that they pick something that can front to back this time and not kind of just, play a kind of a weird team comp with that Kaisa and that Aphelios that they had last game. And hopefully they pick something. Okay, so they picked that Aatrox into the Jace, seems like. They do.
Yeah,
They lock that in. Yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping that the jungler and the support can kind of round off the team comp in terms of like Azir and Aphelios kind of being safe from the Ahri engage, or maybe even capitalizing on that so that they can get their damage off. Because I think Azir is very good if he can kind of just sit back and just auto.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm interested to see how Dorkiner does into the Jace with the Aatrox. This seems, at worst, like a skill matchup for the Jace. So with Chesto's prowess on that champion, I would give him the edge in this lane. But I don't think that this is a particularly one-sided matchup. So we'll have to see how they do it. Will be ILY SMH picking up the Kindred here into the Maokai. Kindred, another champion that's been really effective this patch after the Triforce buffs. Has been a bit of a menace in the jungle, but we have seen this champion struggle a lot in the tournament so far. A lot of players not able to get to the point of the game where Kindred is able to make the difference.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
And we see some poke champions coming out to fit with the Jace. Sona, interesting.
I mean, I'm a little biased here. I think Sona is an absolutely amazing champion right now, able to take advantage of the echoes of Helia, providing a lot of heal and bonus damage for your team, an exhaust on a basic ability, so
It's just the most OP part of her kit.
Yep. And Seraphine, a champion we have not been seeing too much recently. So I don't know. I think I'd once again give the edge to Platinum players' Poggies in this draft, but I do think this one is a lot closer. I think the Azir is really gonna have to show up here, and I think we're gonna have to see how well Dorkiner is able to do into this matchup into the Jace.
Okay, not gonna lie, guys. I think they just picked 5 champions that are bad into Jace. So yeah, not too sure what they were thinking on that. I feel like there's not really a way for them to lock onto the Jace or even the Ahri at that point. Ezreal is going to be super hard to lock onto. They're kind of struggling with the same thing that they struggled with last game, where they can't, lock down these champions. They're super slippery. Ahri has 3 dashes. Jace can just fire away EQs onto these ranged champions. Ezreal is super slippery. I mean, Sona, I guess, is a little bit easier to get a hold of and try to fight out. But, I mean, it looks like AOT just really want them to kind of engage onto them. So looking for that Maokai engage to come onto them first, and they can kind of just blow up the Maokai. But after that, yeah, again, kind of after that.
That's happening. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think... I think that PPP really just want to play the poke war with this Ezreal and the Jace.
Solid poke comp.
Yeah, exactly. And they're definitely going to be outshining AOT in that regard. But yeah, again, I'm not really sure how I feel with these answers.
If Aatrox doesn't get strong enough to be some kind of frontline in at least some smaller fights, it's just lost. It seems very, very difficult to play.
Yeah, or they have to shut down this Jace somehow or some way, so that he can't, start doing Jace things and EQing your backline for a billion damage before objective fight. But again, these champs are just super, super strong on this meta. Ahri's going to do all she can to kind of Yeah, again, Aphelios and Seraphine, not the most mobile champs. It's going to be kind of easy for her to get a pick. Even the Azir, I feel like traditionally this is a kind of a sorry, cancers. A weird matchup because Azir kind of wins a little bit earlier around level 3, 4, 5 because he can start getting that poke off that Ari can't, but Ari can start pushing the wave and kind of just looking to snowball onto the other lanes.
I'm curious to think. Do you guys think that Alan's other team got like enough out of like the counter picks on red side? Because to me, it seems like like they last game at least they did have what would seem to be some lane counter matchups. They were able to get ahead, but now it just seems like I'm honestly just confused why they went for red side here. It doesn't seem like they really got anything out of it.
I agree. I think the most it feels like they got. Feel free to give your guys' opinion, but it feels like the lane in which they, I don't know, not even got the strongest counter pick, but I'm looking at the Maokai versus Kindred. Kindred might have an opportunity to make some things happen early game, but everywhere else, the blue side blind picks were just solid. Like even the Sona, given the first Dragon's champion pool, after all of these bans came through, it just seems like they had very solid blind picks that AOT didn't manage to answer.
Yeah, and I think Sona definitely a champion that's hard to answer with other enchanters. She tends to win a lot of these enchanter versus enchanter matchups with kind of just in a way stat checking them just with more heals and like more damage in a lot of these fights. And it's I'm not sure how I even like the bot lane that they've picked despite saving that last pick for their support. I feel like they could have gotten a lot more out of saving it for someone like Dorky Nerd. Like we were talking about before the game, picking a top laner can come down a lot more to picking that counter pick to the team rather than just to the lane. So yeah, just everything seems kind of off with this draft to me. And like I said before, I think Platinum players Poggy is definitely getting the better end of this one. It feels like they had a very clear plan with their draft and executed on it.
I will say, poke comps are known to be brittle, volatile, right? So, unlike last game where Jax can play as a frontliner, LeBlanc is I guess LeBlanc and I are both very safe. But if this team falls behind, the team fight situation at least doesn't look quite as one-sided as it did last game. So that might, once again, we're saying AOT, it feels like they've got to get ahead in order to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to get ahead. I mean, they do skill. I will say that. But again, they don't have too many options of jumping onto the side of PPP. It was the same issue as last game. I mean, who's going to pull the trigger so that they can actually engage? I feel like it has to be like an Azir or something, right? Kind of a 0 shuffling in, but do you really want one of your carry champs in the mid lane to be shuffling in and maybe risking his life for that?
0R, or once again, maybe an Aatrox flank. Flank doesn't even seem that good, though, honestly, against this team. We were saying last game potentially a Gragas flank, which never was able to come through. So, yeah, it looks quite difficult.
Yeah, and another champion we saw. We saw Jaxeli doing a little bit of work, especially in the early fights with Aphelios. But as the game went on, he seemed to have a bit of a struggle making an impact here. And I'm a bit worried about this Aphelios pick again. I feel like into these long range champions like Ezreal and Jace, he can tend to struggle. And the Aphelios Seraphine is just not a lane I'm too in love with here, and I feel like a lot of the pressure here for the side of Alan's other team is going to be on Derive and ILY SMH to get really ahead on Azir and Kindred, which is a lot to ask for some champs that are more scaling here. So we'll have to see if they're able to get that early game lead that might be what they need to propel themselves to a win here.
Yeah, again, I keep talking about this mid jungle duo. They really do have to show up big in this game to try and snatch back that one game so that they don't get 2-0'd. Yeah, I think Kindred is going to be the deciding factor in this game. I feel like if she gets enough marks, or even if she gets enough marks or doesn't get enough marks, that's going to be the deciding factor. Because if she doesn't get enough marks to even like get that range buff, she's gonna feel completely useless in this game. She's gonna get outranged by pretty much every single champion. She's gonna get poked out. Maokai's gonna engage her. She can't do anything about that. Or Ari's gonna charm her. She can't do anything about that. But if she does get enough marks and starting to snowball her lead, it's gonna be pretty scary for the side of PPP to deal with her. So I think this game really heavily relays on how IOI SMH is gonna play out. Especially the early game to try and secure some of those marks.
Yeah, and I think I also want to look a little bit more at the Sona that Cridians has picked up. I think Sona, a champion that her main weakness is she's very squishy, and if you can get the jump on her, she'll just pop, and team fight can, or any play can instantly kind of turn in your favor if you're able to do that. But I see basically no tools outside of something like an Azir that could come out here and just kill the Sona. I feel like this Sona might just run free here and provide infinite healing, and it's just, I don't know. I would have just loved to see some sort of engage coming out from someone like Dorkinerd here.
Yeah, for sure. I do see early game in this bot lane, Seraphine by no means comes close to Sona scaling. Like she's half an enchanter. But she does have a bit of a range advantage in lane at least. And with that, especially given how they played last game, I do feel like the first Dragon and Jaxley may be able to get lane control again in this game. And there may be some opportunities for a mid-jungle dive spot. It might be a way to get the mid-jungle ahead as well.
Yeah, it looks like a standard 5-point on all sides. IOSMH is going to play for something greedy here. It looks like he's going to look for the chase.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Looks like Chesto isn't really biting. First Dragon might spot him out. And they might realize that he's not actually on there. Dorkin are going to walk down trying to find the chase as well. Pretty much anywhere to tilt this guy. It looks like it's going to be their plan. Going to walk in here?
Yeah, but with just a Kindred and Aatrox level 1, I'm not sure they can really do much. There's not really any CC or anything there, so just Chesto will be A-OK. They get a ward onto the camps of Nightstone, so that'll be a little bit nice to see the path. It doesn't look like there's any vision for Platinum players' Poggies. Am I missing something? So they won't yet know where IOI SMH is starting here, and we'll see if that can help him with his early plays.
Yeah, they do have that ward in the river, but I'm not too sure how much that's going to help them. Jason's going to take that ward and place it so that he doesn't get early ganked. Not too sure how likely that is on the Kindred regardless. But yeah, good way to see where the Maokai is pathing. Seems like they know he's bot. Drive taking some weird trades here. Looks like Jason is playing pretty aggressive in this lane, obviously with that W, but Drive needs to start getting maybe even the level 2 before he actually starts taking up some of these trades and making them favorable.
By weird, do you mean poor?
Yeah, like I feel like he shouldn't be taking those trades. I feel like he shouldn't be taking those trades. That's why I think they're weird.
Yeah, and we have seen Jason opt for the summon Airy here. Is that normal on the Ahri? I feel like I normally see Electrocute.
I think Electrocute is much better, especially in this matchup. And yeah, Drive getting that level 2 and winning out on the trade. It's gonna both of them are gonna pop both HP pots. It seems like. Oh nope, Jason still has one.
Would you see ILY SMH in the top side, potentially looking for a play on Chesto, who does still have a splash available? So he should be okay there, but with his lane pushing in and Nightstone now coming up as well, Looks like we might have a bit of a skirmish here. Chesto jumping onto ILY SMH, misses the shock blast though.
Get a bit of a freeze here.
Oh, and now Flash is over, able to knock ILY SMH into Nightstone, who's just in time to finish off the kill. Jason now jumping on to Derive, but he's going very low. Able to land the Orb of Deception. A nice flash coming in from Jason to redirect it into Derive, and that'll be a solo kill for Jason on the Ahri.
What a play from Jason, honestly. He just made sure he could react perfectly to that flash. Looks like a little bit of a
Koreans using the Arcane Shift to go in. Jaxeli getting very low, forced to blow the heal, and despite you saying the Seraphine having that early range advantage, if she keeps missing her ability, she can run out of mana very quickly. And looks like this Ezreal Sona lane is getting the edge down here.
Yeah, that's two kills over to PPP already.
IOY SMH is arriving in the bot lane. Koreans and Prydian running away. Jaxeli looks like he'll be able to land the root onto 2, but he goes down. And Korean going very low. IOY SMH is able to finish him off, but he's going very low. So now out of mana, IOY SMH able to finish off the double kill. But that's 2 return kills, and it will just be a 2 for 2 down there.
I would say it's probably not what you want. Going for a gank, going 2 for 2, spending your time.
Yeah, but look at the Sona kills.
Yeah, the scaling champion is getting so far ahead.
I mean, normally you don't want to kill on your enchanters, but Sona is the one where she just scales so well. Getting on items on her feels amazing. And nice charm from Jason the other, but not quite enough damage to follow up. But he's just winning out on every trade in this lane, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing with Palo topping.
Oh, but Chesto a bit far forward, not quite able to finish off Dorky Nerd, who's now jumping in, flashes away, but ILS, it seems like we'll have the damage here. Chesto going very low, and oh, it looks like we're now in the bot lane. Prydians, Chesto somehow still alive, but Derive able to dash over the wall, and that'll be a kill coming out for the Azir.
Yeah, really good pickup for there. Chesto playing aggressive in this lane, as usual for Jace. But IOI SMH kind of just ganking on repeat. He's 18 CS down.
Yeah, Korean and Prydian's doing wonderfully in this lane. I agreed with you that the range advantage of the Aphelios Seraphine in the early game should give them a bit of an advantage, but Prydians and Korean doing a beautiful job to win a lot of these trades in the lane. We're able to turn around the gank. Jason now dashing in with the ult, but does miss the charm. ILY SMH might be cut out here, but Jason not enough mana. Derive gets hit by the sapling, but everyone will be okay here.
And it looks like Sona has already outscaled her counterpart in this lane at level 4. Based on the way that it's going.
Yeah, I think we might see Korean try to even look for something aggressive under this tower. He's landing pretty much every Q. Jaxelian first dragon very low.
Yeah, Ezreal champion that's generally on the weaker side in the early lane, but if you're able to get that push and clear out all the minions, the mystic shots will just rain down, and you can easily poke out your opponents on this champion.
Plus the early tier from the couple of assists on that gank helps out quite a good bit.
Yeah, maybe even more importantly, the sheen.
Oh, that is what I meant to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Indeed,
how much damage
the tier doesn't actually help your fighting that much, huh?
Yeah. That allows you to stick around a little bit longer, get a bit more poke out. So definitely doesn't hurt, but yeah, the sheen really the item that's making the difference here. I'm continuing to land abilities. Jaxeli going very low. The flash hit comes from Prydians, who's now 3 kills on this Sona.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and Sona, this hyper carry among the likes of champions like, the Nasus, the Aurelion Soul. So this is getting very scary for the side of Alan's other team here.
And their hope right now is mid-jungle, looks like, right? Kindred is also a bit of a scaling champion who got a couple of kills in that play.
So he might try to make
Lucky.
another play up here, hiding in the bush. If you know, Chesto decides to start pushing aggressively again. Oh, a nice charm landing again onto Derive, but I don't think there's too much follow-up here. Chesto trading onto Dorkinard, but ILY SMH has arrived, forces the flash out. ILY SMH flashes to follow, and it looks like Chesto will just go down. The ult's still available. He won't even need to blow it, and Chesto without TP will be missing a massive wave here. It looks like Jason will have to come up and collect it.
Yeah, iOS doing the correct thing here, making sure he can shut down this Jace early so he can't start snowballing into these team fights and we'll start winning the poke war along with his Ezreal. Oh shoot. Yeah, but Kindred, I mentioned this at the beginning. IYSMH really needs to start snowballing. I think he's the key for this game. If he can start getting those kills, start getting those marks, he's going to be a complete menace, and it's going to be very hard for PPP to start dealing with her.
Oh, but Nightstone popping the ult, able to just tag Dorkinard, who is now charmed, and it looks like the damage will just be there. Ooh. Not quite going down yet, but the smite enough to finish off the kill. Meanwhile, Chesto gets the Emperor's Divide pop pushed back into the team. ILY SMH forced to blow the ult. Chesto not quite enough damage to finish off ILY SMH, and with the first dragon rotating up, that will just be the Herald going over to the side of Alan's other team.
You know, I do like how this top side is playing out these 3v3s, even though that there's 2 kills on the Maokai, and that there's 3 kills on the Sona in the bot lane. But as long as this Kindred gets ahead, I feel like it really doesn't matter. I feel like, yeah, like I said, he's going to be the key to this game.
And Derive not doing too bad himself on the Azir. You know, it was able to pick up a kill, doing pretty well in the farm department. And I think that we talked about it before the game. IOI, SMH, and Derive kind of having the pressure on them to be the carries in this one, and are really stepping up here.
There's one small downside to having the Sona in the bot lane is can't really punish the Aphelios quite as well when the opposing support goes to the Herald fight. But they did get a number of plates, so they're still winning out.
Yeah, Curran's doing very well on this Ezreal, I must say.
Derive jumping onto Jason, who's able to land the charm and then just sort of walk out of there, so they'll be okay.
Yeah, but Derive's gonna start scaling. He's gonna start winning out in every single trade, I feel like, as long as he kind of doesn't get all in or Maokai doesn't come to his lane. But yeah, as I was saying, Korean's playing this Ezreal very, very well. He's getting a lot of resources for himself, getting this farm lead, getting this plate lead as well.
YSMH now for a dive here. Dorkinard immediately pops the ult, jumping onto Chesto. A nice knockback, able to almost finish off the kill, but the damage isn't there, and that'll be another kill going over to Chesto. It will be traded for a dragon here, though.
Very well executed dive.
What's the mark situation?
I can check really quick for you. Seems like we have one more.
One. Oh, as the ult coming out from Nightstone, Jaxeli does have the cleanse, and it will just land onto the first dragon, who lands a nice ult onto 2, able to flash away. So just an ult traded, or yeah, an ult traded for a couple sums in the bot lane. So overall, pretty good for Platinum players, Poggies here.
Yeah, but even though IOSMH has that one mark only to his name, he's doing the right thing. He's trying to shut down this Jace. I think that's honestly the right thing to do. Even though he's giving up a farm lead.
Aggressive lands another charm onto Derive, but you know, not quite enough follow-up. Then does ult in, Derive able to dash away, and oh, the damage just not there. The flash forced out of Derive. So a nice play by Jason as well here. Sums being blown across the map for Alan's other team. Oh, Jason.
Oh, he's threatening it. Slowing the base.
We do see ILY SMH going on to Jason. Meanwhile, Dorkinard getting some trading done in the top lane. Jason seems to be okay.
Yeah, Jason picked up those Merc treads actually. Not too sure how I feel.
Oh, but ILY SMH, the charm having missed, forces the flash out immediately. Chesto now jumping onto Dorkinard. The damage not quite there though. But Dorkinard continuing to go lower in this lane, and a single shock blast might be enough to clean up the kill here.
Yeah, it looks like Nightstone's gonna start piloting up there and maybe look for it.
Oh, he'll run into ILY SMH here though. goes for the twisted advance, but I think Derive is definitely healthier and more able to follow up on this play here. IOI SMH with the ult available, Nightstone will be forced to back away.
Bot lane Jack's only going very low. But yeah, I think Derive didn't quite expect those Merc Shreds on that earlier kind of 1v1. Did a lot of damage and Derive wasn't doing that much. So definitely well played by Jason there.
The Jaxeli now going very low in the bot lane here. With the Seraphine, you should be okay, but these plates are just bleeding and they're not getting much in return. Oh, IOI SMH immediately flashing on the Chesto, immediately pops the Lamb's Respite, and he'll just be able to easily finish off the kill on the Chesto. So IOI SMH just having his way in the top lane. Chesto now 0-5 on this Jace.
I was surprised to see he's...
Jason saving the charm, but a nice ult from Derive able to completely zone off the rest of the play there.
Derive's been able to disengage most of these Aureolans just with his E mostly. Oh, there's a long dive coming.
Yeah, Nightstone behind him, and the first dragon will just go down to the True Shot Barrage. The TP coming in from, I believe that's Derive, but with 2 kills already for the side of Platinum players Poggies. They'll be okay. Chesto once again getting jumped on in this top lane. The flash coming out, able to escape for now though. And Chesto is really having a rough go of it up here. Now 0-5 on the Jace, and IOI SMH is set up to potentially take over this game here. Chesto once again going forward, but I'm not sure this is what he wants. The damage not quite there, and that will be Chesto going down again. 0-6, oof.
Yeah, very close, honestly. I respect it. That was definitely less than like 50 HP left on the Kindred.
And let's see if IOI SMH is going to be able to use this lead as opposed to how Dorkiner used this lead last game. This is a little bit greedy considering how low IOI SMH is, splashless and ultless.
The Brent Lamb's Respite not available. First Dragon might be a bit far forward. A nice ult comes out, but Jason might just kill her easily. Derive also getting chased down by the Twisted Advance. Jason able to finish off the kill as well. And now IOI SMH, the Lamb's Respite almost up, but I think they're just going to have to retreat here. A nice charm coming out from Jason. They'll continue the chase, but it looks like they'll just...
Yeah, I really did not like that play. I think it was way too greedy. I think that IOI SMH couldn't actually walk in to try and help his mid and support. Also, their positioning was suspect at best.
Yeah, their reinforcements on the AOT were just, mid and support as you said, were just behind on the play compared to everyone else in it, essentially. Which unfortunately includes all of blue team.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like they should absolutely be looking to contest this dragon.
Yeah, we might see a fight coming up here. IOI SMH is jumping onto Crithians. The ult coming out, but it looks like they won't have quite the damage as the Lamb's Respite will come out. A lot of damage from this Aphelios, but with it all gone now, this should be the fight going the way of Platinum players Poggies. Dorkiner dishing out quite a lot of damage. Derive flashing forward, uses the Emperor's Divide, able to set up 1 kill for his team, but now Kurian with the free reign to jump forward, and Jason and Kurian just finishing off the members. Jason does miss the charm, so he'll not be able to finish off the first dragon.
Oh my god, it's a disaster. I'm not too sure if you saw what happened there, but Jason looking for more. Drive's gonna be able to escape.
Oh, Jason though, almost enough damage to finish them both off as he's just delaying their back timers and allowing to them to get to this dragon early enough.
I'm not too sure if you guys saw what happened there, but I believe Aatrox or wait, what? I think Chesto
was it the
used...
Aatrox W?
No,
I was so confused. What happened?
No. It was Chesto's E that kind of launched Derive all the way back because it has such high priority. it took priority over Derive's E and just launched him so far back, so he couldn't get his R off into 5 people.
He almost had a, was it 5 men? I thought it was 4.
Yeah, it was gonna be. I don't know if it was a 5-man
It
or 4,
looked-
but it was gonna be massive, and I think
It looked
could have won
pretty
the.
big.
I could have won them the fight for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I thought it was the Aatrox Infernal Chains, but I realized that Aatrox is on his own team because that's what it looked like. He got pulled back so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting itemization choice. Caridian's opting for the Moonstone over the Echoes of Helia. Usually we do see Sona's going for the Echoes of Helia here. It's definitely a viable option, and I think, you know, especially with some of the longer range champions, it's a little bit harder to get that damage out, and Echoes of Helia does sort of rely on you continuing to trade to get more healing, but definitely an interesting choice, and we'll see if that ends up working out for him as we get into these team fights.
Yeah, regardless
Yeah.
of the fight situation down there, Jason kind of.
Jason might be a bit far forward. The Emperor's Divide coming out, but I think he'll just be able to ult away. Nightstone also blowing the ult with the TP now coming out from Chesto. It looks like they want to continue this fight, as it will just be ILY SMH flashing away. But that is an important cooldown that they've blown here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, regardless of the fight situation, I think that, you know, Chesto being so far behind. Oh. Chesto being so far behind might feel good for the side of AOT, but if you look at their bot side, Sona's really, really strong. Building a needlessly large rod. I'm not sure what that builds into for her.
That's for the Seraph.
Oh, for Seraph's Embrace. Okay. Ezreal 3-1 and 6, Ari 4-0 and 2. It's gonna be very scary to deal with these champs that are like super strong on the other side of the map. IOSMH had all his attention kind of on the top side, but didn't really focus on the bot side, and now this is the result.
We saw in the previous fight, Kindred got her ulti off. No play. Got her ulti off. Was not, CC chained fully 100 to 0, but even after that, they just, without the big Azir play, which got stuffed, they just didn't have the damage to get through.
Jason looking for a play on to Jaxeli, does miss both the charm and the Q, continuing to trade, but not much will come of it. Jaxeli is very low.
Yeah, like I said, it's so hard. Oh, a charm?
Oh, a charm? But the engage will not come through as... Oh, Kurian, potentially a bit far forward here, but is able to Arcane Shift away.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's so hard for AOT to actually get onto the
ILYSMH going very aggressive here. Nightstone popping the ult. A flash ult coming out of Caridians. Now we have Nightstone jumping in onto Derive. Derive going in, able to knock Caridians back into the team. And as we talked about before the game, the Sona very squishy, and if you are able to get onto her, she will go down, and at least a little bit of hope, as now Chesto might be a bit far forward. They're getting jumped on by 4, able to flash over the wall, continue to head back towards his team, get a lot of damage out, but no kills coming through, and with the Baron up, this could be what Alan's other team needs to get back into the game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they have to look for it, but ILYSMH is so low. They need to be very careful with this poke.
This is giving me a bit of deja vu from the Rift Herald earlier. Kurian, though, completely out of mana, and this champion not too useful without it. Jason now jumping onto Jaxeli, who chased Kurian a bit far. Meanwhile, Nightstone jumping onto 4, able to secure 2 kills, and what a play by Nightstone, just completely dividing the side of Alan's other team. And Kurian now back to full-on mana with that presence of mind. Yeah.
Oh my god, literally what a nightmare. But I mean, this is what you were thinking. Like, I mean, we can look at Kindred's marks right now. I don't think we can because she's dead. But there is literally no way that the side of AOT can reliably jump onto PPP and manage to, lock down and play front to back with their Aphelios and Azir. this Kindred's not going to do the work for them. This Aatrox's not going to do the work for them. Surfing isn't certainly going to do the work for them. And that's what I'm was worried about in this comp that they picked up. Obviously, the counter them in lane and in the early game, the counter matchups look good, but does it actually work for your comp, and does it actually work up towards the mid game when you start looking for objectives?
No.
Yeah, it looks like it is not, as you know, ILY SMH was able to get very far ahead on the Kindred, but is definitely struggling to have an impact into some of these longer range champions. And
yeah, and you can see he still has 2 marks.
Yeah, a bit of a disaster here for sure. Now we do also have Soul Point available for Platinum players Poggies, and it's gonna definitely take a miracle for Alan's other teams to get back into the game here.
Oh, I think Derive definitely wanted to shuffle there and couldn't get it to go. But good job on Chesto, being this far behind but still generating so much pressure, realizing that I'm useless, I'll just push the towers.
And Nightstone getting a lot of damage onto him, but he's so tanky at this point. The ult coming out from Seraphine lands on the 2. Nightstone will probably just go down here. He's still alive. Sona a bit far forward. Cridian's going very low. Dorkiner continuing to trade, but he'll just go down. Cridian's finally dropping. ILY SMH forced to pop the Lamb's Respite. A huge ult coming out, and that will be what they need. Jason, the last survivor here, he'll, it seems, be okay, but a beautiful combo from Derive and ILY SMH, able to turn the fight around.
Honestly, a nice...
Derive continuing to chase onto Jason. I think Jason will be okay. Continues to run away. ILY SMH, the flash is enough to finish off the kill.
Big 1k shutdown off the Derive. But yeah, that's exactly, I mean, I told you, it's so hard for them to get on there, or for AOT to get onto the side of PPP, but if Nightstone drops, it becomes a lot easier for ILY SMH to walk forward. And that's exactly what happened.
Very true.
There's a nice 2-man Seraphine ulti as well to follow up on that pick.
And ILY SMH finally picking up his 4th mark, so he's going to get that range advantage. I'm hoping they can start to... This is exactly what they needed. I'm hoping they can start to snowball their lead now. Not necessarily snowball, but, you know, get back into the game.
Yeah, but with no objectives up, they weren't able to get much more. They did get a turret in the mid lane, but, you know, no Dragon or Baron to claim there. Yeah, it is some pull, but, you know, I think Platinum players Poggy still will be pretty happy going forward. You know, Nightstone might need to be a little bit more careful in these upcoming fights, but while Alan's other team was able to win the fight, flashes were blown for ILY SMH, Derive, and Jaxeli, and they will not be up in time for the Dragon, I believe, so it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing in this fight for the soul here.
And I was gonna say that this doesn't look like anything. The previous fight in the mid lane that turned into a Baron attempt was essentially an overforced 3v5 mid, while Ahri and Jace were split pushing. So,
and Nightstone already popping the ult here, lands the root onto ILY SMH, will just be charmed up and finished off. Dorkiner into 5, but he'll just immediately go down. Nightstone continues to chase the flash away from the first Dragon, but Twisted Advance will follow. First Dragon will just go down, and just like that, a 3-for-0 for the side of Platinum players Poggies, who will probably now push into the enemy base.
yeah, so whenever they're playing as 5, and I guess as well as Maokai not going far too deep, they're doing just fine.
And that will be the inhib coming out right before these 2 objectives spawn. So very big for Platinum players Poggies, and I don't know how Alan's other team here is gonna try to contest.
ILY SMH wasn't even able to press his ulti in that fight. Just instant went down. Yeah, I mean, I think if PPP just plays these fights, you know, just executes it somewhat well, they're going to be able to just kind of steamroll AOT. I mean, even this Jace has 3 items, even though he's been put so far behind. He has more items than Dorky Nerd. Same items as IOI SMH. Pretty shocking, honestly, but yeah, not looking good.
They are getting back to a 1-4 split push map state, so they're gonna have to be careful.
Jason might be a bit far forward here. IYSMH is jumping onto him. He'll go very low, but Sona now here, the ult coming out from Nightstone for the counter engage. IYSMH forced to pop the Lamb's Respite early. The first Dragon very low as well. They are able to finish off Nightstone, which could be what they need here, but the health bars are low, and the Charm not quite landing onto Derive, so they will be going onto this Dragon. The healing coming out from the first Dragon, a nice Shock Blast, able to get the damage off, and Curry able to finish off the kill, but the Dragon going very low. They are able to deny the soul. Chesto tries to flash away, it gets pulled back in by the Aatrox. Curry going very far forward. Jason having TP'd in now, able to finish off, I believe that was Jaxeli. He might be a bit far forward, does go down, but not without getting the return kill on to Dorky Nerd. So overall, I believe that was a 4 for 3, and the Dragon, so the soul denied, but
yeah, these fights are so close. They need to play them. I mean, IOSMH needs to play these perfectly to make sure he can actually get his damage off and doesn't get one shot. I mean, you saw the CC layering that they had onto him. He just had like pretty much an instant to press his R after the Sona R and the Charm. But good on him for staying alive.
Yeah, and that could have been a disaster, but some nice plays coming out from Chesto and Jason, as it looks like they're now jumping onto IYSMH. The ult comes out from Sona. IYSMH flashing forward. The damage looks like will be there to finish off Crithians, and Nightstone not able to trade much back. The first Dragon arriving, and we do have finally the True Shot Barrage coming in, gets a lot of damage off. Nightstone forced to flash away, and that another good play for the side of Alan's other team.
Yeah, good job by IOSMH. Putting this team on his back.
Yeah, for sure. Derive not doing too bad himself. Jaxeli struggling a bit, but you know we all know what the Aphelios can do if he's able to make some plays in those late game team fights. The ult coming out from Jason early, and another Baron play after the last one. We'll see if they can do any better. Jason now going very low. Jaxeli able to finish off the kill, and it's now 3v5. Some nice hook coming out. The Shock Blast and True Shot Barrage dealing a lot of damage. Some nice healing coming out, and Derive able to finish off Nightstone and Curry, and the hook continuing to come. But the first Dragon doing work on this Seraphine, able to heal up her team.
Absolutely insane poke. I thought they were done for, but they could have maybe waited just a tad bit longer for Crithians to actually get there and try to start supporting them. But they got caught out. Curry got caught out, and yeah, AOT could be able to pick this Baron. Like I said, man, IOSMH is the key to winning this game for the side of AOT. He's doing a phenomenal job in this Kindred.
And actually, can you check the Moonstone here? I'm curious. Or the Marks too, but I'm curious how much the Moonstone is done here. Oh, it looks like pretty decent. So yeah, not struggling. Yeah, doing better than Echoes, but we saw the first Dragon just absolutely do work in that last play.
She also has a lot more gold, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah.
1.5k ish. Yeah. So.
Yep.
And the marks, I think they're at 5 right now. If he can get that 7th mark, that'd be really big.
Yeah, if the first Dragon hadn't been there to heal up and shield from that poke, that probably would have been it for Alan's other team. So definitely doing work on this Seraphine here. Derive jumping forward, able to land an ult onto Crithians, who will just go down.
They're going to start looking to march down this turret. I don't think the poke is going to be enough with the Seraphine killing.
Yeah, Nightstone on the flank. I don't think they're going to be able to end the game here or anything, but they're able to reset, drop some vision for this Dragon, and we'll see what Platinum players Poggies decides to do here.
This is seeming very much like the problem with poke comps, is they are not just volatile in terms of whether they're ahead or behind, but if you pick off a piece,
Oh, a nice charm, but IOSMH does have... Actually, yeah, that was the QSS coming out, or the Silver Mirror Dawn, if it were.
Wow. I never see that item.
Yeah, it seems like he just finished it, had the gold to finish it, and it's pretty much full build.
He's pretty good in this game against the Maokai, Ari, even the Sun a bit.
That poke is coming through, but it seems like Seraphine is enough to deal with it. Also, like I said, IOSMH just kind of walking forward because he can. He's just that strong, has that rage advantage. And does a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it's not just ILYSMH here. Jaxeli and Derive both, very strong on their respective champions.
We might
So
see a deciding fight here.
Looks like it.
They still have Baron? They do.
And AOT has time on their side with minions pushing mid lane.
yeah, but Platinum players, Poggies, do have priority initially on this track. Jason the other immediately ults over the wall, able to get a lot of damage off on Derive. IYSMH immediately pops the Lamb's Respite, so he won't have that for the rest of the fight. An ult comes out from Cridians. Nightstone able to finish off the Soul, but now it's Alan's other team marching forward, able to get the kill onto Nightstone. Derive continues to push forward. Chesto coming out of the bush, able to immediately one-shot the first dragon. Jaxeli also very low. And without that healing, this poke now.
Derive kind of failing every single shuffle.
Derive able to finish off the kill. IOI-SMH continuing to chase forward. It will just be a 2-for-1 for the side of Alan's other team, but the Soul did come out for Platinum players' Poggies.
Derive could have had a very big play there, but he failed the shuffle over the wall and couldn't get the flash R that he needed to try and win his team the game, actually.
Alan's other team is quite low. The Seraphine healing, this could be a bit risky. IOI-SMH still not having that Lamb's Respite available.
Might just
Looks
be
like
a
they
reset
will
angle.
be okay, yeah. And despite having that Soul, this is looking a bit rough with how IOI-SMH is getting so fed. IOI-SMH still completely full HP, despite Dorky Nerd going down, continuing to trade. But Nightstone now coming in, and that might just be him going down. So a bit of an overstay from IOI-SMH and Dorky Nerd there, and this could be the time that Platinum players' Poggies need to get back on the map and look for some wins here.
Yeah, this Mountain Soul is definitely going to help a lot with these team fights. Kind of stop them from getting one shot by any sort of poke. Gonna kind of stop IOI-SMH from doing too much damage as well. But yeah, not looking like they're not going to be able to get too much off the back of IOI-SMH's death.
Yeah, and we do see Chesto able to do a lot of work in these fights, despite being 2-10 on this Jace. He was able to completely one-shot the first dragon out there, which, that if he wasn't able to do that, that might have just been the game ending. So, Chesto showing his prowess on the Jace despite being so far behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, he's not even really behind. Dorky Nerd struggling even more on the Aatrox. Dorky Nerd kind of giving up everything to IOI-SMH in that early game.
Yeah, I mean, Dorky Nerd is playing Horizon at this point, right? Chesto, even though he's 2-10. Dorky Nerd just has not really been side laning, kind of opting to group with his team and to help out his Kindred, while Chesto has been realized that the only way he can get back into this game is pretty much farming, so opted to do that, and he has more items. And
to be fair, I think that is essentially in the last 3 big turning points in this game, that has been how AOT has come ahead, has been better grouped, finding picks first, picking apart this big poke comp.
Yeah, we're seeing Jason now lands the charm onto IOI-SMH, who immediately pops the Silver Mirror Dawn, able to back away, and feeling from Seraphine coming out. Nightstone has found himself a little bit of a flank angle. We'll see if he goes for anything. Jason also creeping around.
But you see here that it's, they have to wait for PPP to engage onto them. They don't really have a way to walk forward. IOI-SMH already burned his head.
Oh, it's charm. Dorky Nerd going very low. Jaxeli chasing quite far forward, but he might be a bit too far. getting quite a lot of damage out, is forced to flash, but now ILY SMH charging forward. Nightstone quite far behind the enemy lines. ILY SMH immediately opts that Lamb's Respite, but now jumps onto Nightstone, who lands the Twisted Advance. ILY SMH getting very low. Dorkbeard flashes forward, but he's just going to go down. Oh, an overstep from the Aatrox. Korean's continuing to get out that damage, and the sapling from Maokai doing work on the backline as it looks like Platinum players' Poggies will now turn towards the Baron.
And they've also got an Ahri ult, and there's no Kindred ult up, so they have a turn available here.
Yeah, I think they have to try and look.
Oh, ILY SMH, going forward. Jaxeli there too. Chesto completely whiffing the Shock Blast, but the damage is not quite there. ILY SMH turns onto Chesto, Derive landing the ult onto Jason. Meanwhile, Nightstone able to finish off the Baron, but a 2 for 1 overall in these fights, and they're gonna look to end.
Yeah, they're gonna look to end. I mean, Dorknerd has TP in 10 seconds. It doesn't matter if they have Barons. They just lost 2 of their biggest carries. I don't think Korean has enough wave clear to actually deal with these minions that are coming in.
Dorknerd now TPing in. Jaxeli getting hit by some poke. The first dragon going very low. ILY SMH jumping forward. The ult completely whiffed from the Sona. Derive continuing to deal quite a lot of damage. The True Shot barrage comes out, but it's not quite enough to finish off the first dragon, as they'll now jump into the base. Nightstone tagged by the ult. The ult coming out from ILY SMH, and that will be the game going to the side of Alan's other team. And we finally have a game 3.
I mean, what a game. It was really close from start to finish. I mean, not really that close. But actually, it was pretty close from start to finish. But I mean, that Baron call, I feel like if Chesto just landed his Shock Blast onto Jaxeli, it would have been, a done deal. They would have gotten Baron, they would have gotten out. But that miss on that Shock Blast, I think it really, really hurt and kind of cost them the game, because it didn't allow Chesto to actually one-shot Jaxeli. And then after that, Jason also got shuffled into the enemy team as well by Derive, and from there it was just kind of, they just marched it down mid and ended the game.
It did also feel a bit split, in my opinion, because sure there was the Shock Blast miss, but you had the solo laners off, trying to stall for taking the Baron. But as you saw, them stalling is not that, it's not that easy to stall and then survive after when you're like 1v4, 2v4. If the rest of PPP had peeled off the Baron and followed together for an actual turn, that may have turned out differently, or maybe a little more consistently.
Okay, awesome. So we'll be right back, guys. We're gonna be ending the stream for a little bit. I'll have to leave, but Potential 5 and FaZe will still be around for game 3. So stay tuned, guys.